We are here with the one and only PieGonti. He has consistently been the modern trophy leader. I don't know if you are exactly at this moment, Pie. Are you?
Sorry.
Are you the modern trophy leader right now at this moment?
I guess. Yeah.
All right.
I was trying
Even
to
if
do
you're
my.
not, I'm going to say that you are because
No,
you will be.
I currently am. I did a trophy like 5 minutes after Giovanni did his 37th. So yeah, I'm actually the first right now.
Awesome, awesome. And for the people watching this, why is the person with 37 trophies showing up on the stream of someone who has just 3 trophies? The short version of the question is, how did we meet?
We meet, I guess, like almost a year ago. It was probably June, I guess, because you did a good result in a challenge with a deck featuring Yorion, Kinnan, Urza, and Astrolabe. And I started to play that deck on stream, and I managed to do also good results. I guess I made a couple of trophies and various good lines, and also I changed the deck a little bit. I tinkered a little bit, and it was super cool. Also, so I met you, and it was fine to brew with you.
Yeah,
Also,
So, oh, thank you for the follows, somebody. I actually can't see who it is right now. I gotta figure out my new stream thing. But anyway, yeah, Jiggy actually had the really incredible run in that challenge. He went 7-0 in the Swiss. But me and him, he and I were both knocking out trophies like in the 2 or 3 weeks before, like nonstop. Like the deck was just a trophy machine. And anyway, yeah, we started talking then, and then we've just been good associates since then. Of course, I am nowhere near as successful with leagues and stuff. And a quick question for you before we get into this whole thing. You have unbelievable success in the leagues. How come you're not competing in so many challenges and stuff? You know, I would expect to see you winning all the time. Like Batu Tinha is, he's reasonably high up there on the trophy board, but he plays, he's almost in every challenge top 32. Same with some of the other people. So why don't you compete in so many challenges?
well, I started to make trophies
Mm-hmm.
because I was busy during the weekend because I was moving. So I see I was doing a lot of trophies. So I said, well, I just want to focus on this. And right now, I'm a little bit more free on the weekend, but I prefer to rest right now. Maybe as the season finish, I can play more challenges. Also, I don't really like the EV of the challenges because sometimes you have to play 8 turns, and if you do top 32, it's not worth.
So you're in it for the value, and
Yeah,
for
Kin.
the most part, challenges
Yeah,
are
yeah, yeah.
sort of high risk, medium reward.
Yeah, also, like I mainly play modern, so in the modern challenge, there aren't super competitive players, so you can like make your deck the best for the for a PTQ, for example. But in challenges, you will still face a lot of janky decks. And I remember a time I was 5-0, and then I faced like blue red electro balance, and I lost, and another similar deck, and I lost. And I said, no, okay, I don't really want to play this one anymore because it's frustrating.
All right. So we are here to do a little deck doctoring on IceBURG control. I, for whatever reason, I just decided this time I wanted to get some outside help on this archetype that I love so much. Um, so for me, um, there is a 60 card version which we could look at, but the Yorian version is the thing I'm most interested in most of the time. Um, do you think that a Yorion control deck. Maybe it's not the best 100% setup. Or what is your general feeling on the idea of playing an 80 card like totally fair control deck, no combo kill, there's no tutors in this deck, and we're using Yorion for medium value?
Well, I like Yorion. I like 80 card decks just because I feel the drawback is not this much since we are playing cards like Run and 6 and cyclers like Abundant Growth, etc. So also we can maximize our removals. But I don't really like Yorion in this list because you have basically you have zero value out of it.
Yeah, there's
So
only abundant growth and like Ice Fang, and Ice
yes,
Fang can die quite easily, right? So it's
I,
not.
I guess I want to maybe maximize on this effect. I don't know if there is something we can add to make this deck a little bit more consistent, like in Yorion value.
Yeah. Well,
But
okay. So if we were gonna build this from scratch, right?
yeah,
My concept with this deck, to start with, is we're playing a control deck with 4 red and 6. And for me, the core elements here, we've got 4 Field of Ruin, which is probably surprising to some people who are watching this.
yeah. Wait a second. Why we are playing
Well, we don't have to
for
play 4. We don't have to play 4 necessarily, but because we've got up to 4 Assassin's Trophies. So so I don't know if you ever saw the original deck list. I don't know if I have it loaded up right now. Oh, maybe it is this one. Maybe it's this one. But there was a deck list that I found from a large tournament, a modern tournament, when Astrolabe was still legal, and it had, oh, man, I brought it in earlier. But anyway, it was playing. Well, let me see if I can find the deck list because it will illustrate my point very clearly. Um, I know it was some kind of. Actually, I bet I can find it this way. Um, because it was from I found it from an article on one website where oh, maybe it's this one. Okay. Okay, so this was the original deck list that I found.
okay.
So at the time, this had gone all the way through a large paper modern tournament, and not only did it win, but someone playing exactly this list was also in 4th place. So these 2 guys showed up to this modern tournament and totally took the whole thing by storm, basically.
Yeah.
And when I played this deck, now obviously the format's a little bit different than it was back here. But when I played this deck, the thing that I was surprised by, but not surprised by, was the Assassin's Trophies, the Field of Ruin, the Ren and 6. So Ren and 6 in a control deck is obviously fabulous, right? Because you make sure you're hitting all your land drops, plus it's a 2-mana threat that can win the game on its own. Plus, it's got the -1 ability that kills a creature. Now, we can talk about how valuable that is in Modern right now because all the most aggressive decks are not playing creatures that are vulnerable to this. So,
Well, I I don't agree because like my Run and 6 I mainly play Eve for viewers. So sometimes with Run and 6 you can kill Sprite Dragon.
oh, sure, yeah.
Also,
Sprite Dragon is one card you can kill.
I feel right now that a lot of shadow players are playing the Snake, the X-Drinker. Like Run 6 is super good. Like
Yeah, Hex Drinker has
this week,
become more popular in the last couple weeks, I
yeah,
would say. I'm not entirely sure why. People basically, I guess they figured out it was like a good threat to play in these Lurrus shadow decks.
I feel sometimes like you versus Iliod, they don't have a lot of removals versus you, so I guess it's kind of free. Also, it's probably the best one drop you can play. I don't know, like if you can stay green black and play less greedy mana base, play a more fair game, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I think it started happening after the rock decks were doing well with it, right? Just the straight black green decks were showing that Hex Drinker plus Lurrus was pretty okay, and then it
Yes.
seemed like the Jun Shadow decks picked it up afterwards.
I mean,
Anyway,
I
yeah,
don't like it, but yeah.
yeah. Anyway, so Ren and Six does have more value, but the thing about this deck that surprised me was Ren and Six plus Trophy plus Field of Ruin. This gives you a lot of power against mid-range and control decks that you wouldn't think that you have. This is like an end game all on its own. But you also have Jace the Mind Sculptor. You also have at the time this card would be enormous with your basic lands and Astrolabe. Like I would play this as a 4 mana like 10/10 a lot. I don't know if we're gonna be able to do that anymore. But anyway, that like it really was. And then Dead of Winter was a card that nobody was expecting so much at the time. But the fact that this was like -5, -6, -7 most of the time for 3 mana was really really good. Like shockingly good. And in the newer version I've played, that we're gonna try to build, I think Dead of Winter's value is, it's obviously worse without Astrolabe, but it's still surprisingly good.
Yeah, I love Dead of Winter. In my opinion, it's a very good rat.
Right. So if you were gonna take this 60 card deck, right? Arkham's Astrolabe and Uro are banned, so let's get those out of here. Looking at this as it is now, what would your response be, being the player that you are right now? I mean, obviously you're very insightful and you know what's going on in Modern. So I've messed around with this myself, but let's hear from you because I mean that's the reason you're here right now.
I mean, since we don't play Astrolabe anymore, I feel the full Field of Ruin are a little bit too much in a 4-color mana base.
Right. So you think the mana base definitely needs some work. This mana base
Yeah,
was able to
I
take advantage of 4 Prismatic Vista and then 4 Fabled Passage. And Fabled Passage plus Ren and Six, when you had Astrolabe, I mean, this really, it was beautiful because all of a sudden you weren't taking any damage for your lands.
Yeah, I don't like Fable Passage.
Right.
I'd got it.
Sure. So let's get those out of
Also,
here. Probably the Vista 2. If you want to use the come into play tapped snow duels, you can't use Vista with that.
I guess I can see just a couple of Prismatic Vista.
Sure.
Also, I guess it's difficult for sure. I want the Temur Triumph.
Yeah, Ketria Triumph.
And yeah, I like Cycle Lands just because we for sure are a very good way to fix the mana, and I don't know if this list was made before Triumphs.
It was.
Okay. And also they provide an extra value with Ren, so like your opponent is very incentivized to kill your free mana land, free color land, and you get back with Ren and you cycle. So it's very good versus mid-range decks.
Well, I would say my thing is that I love these lands with Ren and Six so much. I find that these lands are so good, but they do come into play tap. They don't have a mana type. So the fact that the cycling is too cheaper might not be worth it compared to the fact that it's just not a great land to be playing.
Yeah, I guess we can still play maybe one. but
Just the
I for
blue,
sure will cut one.
probably.
Yeah, probably the blue is the best one. And I guess yeah, I want some Misty Rainforest.
Misty. Yeah. That so Misty would be the first fetch to play in this deck.
And you can do like 2 Misty and no, maybe 3 Misty, 1 Verdant.
Sure.
I don't know.
That's fine. The details
3
on the
Misty.
mana base are things that sometimes take a lot more repetition to work out. I mean, I think something you're ignoring is look how many basics there are in this deck. There's 4 islands, 3 forests, 2 swamps, and a mountain.
Yeah, for sure. Like I want to play probably like a couple of breeding pool over an island and a forest.
Mm-hmm.
And also I want to play the basic the snowland, but I don't know the names.
The which
The snow
snowland?
breeding pool.
The snow Highland Weld, I think.
Yeah, that one.
I think um a 1-1 split of no, it's not that one. It's hold on. We can just do snow and I'll find it. I think doing 1 breeding pool and here we go, Rimewood Falls. 1 breeding pool and 1 of that I think is a good place to start.
Yeah, also we have to figure how to introduce red, because currently we have 1 red source. That's the triumph.
Well, we have the
Also the
mountains too,
mountain.
but yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe we can play maybe I don't know. I see Aspiring Spike playing a Reflecting Pool in very high color mana bases.
Mhm.
Not sure if it's correct, but
Well,
I feel
I would think the first place I would want to go here is Zagoth Triome to get the
yeah,
other
the
Triome.
Sultai one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we put in 1 or maybe 2 reflecting pools. I think you'd have to play it a lot to find out how much 2 hurts you. But I definitely could start with at least one reflecting pool. So now we have Ketria Triome, Zagoth Triome, reflecting pool, right? So why don't we just let's take out these basics for now, and then we can move everything a little bit so we can look at it more clearly. So these are lands we can fetch, right? And then these are fetch lands. We can even move this over here. So we have the lands we can fetch. We have the fetch lands, and then Field of Ruin is fetched for basics only, and we're probably not going to play 4.
No, I guess I want a Stomping Ground.
So
Because
with these decks, I find Stomping Ground is the worst land to have because the only red green card you have is Ren and 6.
but all your fetches are green, so that's
I
why
see.
I mean, if you cut the Verdant for Bloodstained Mire, you can consider the blue-red land.
Right.
But I don't know.
Well, do you want to play Abundant Growth in this deck? Because the 1-drops that you're going to play are going to dictate the way, in my mind, are going to dictate the way you build your mana. So, like, if you want to have Push or Lightning Bolt on 1, right? Or Abundant Growth, or maybe even Utopia Sprawl, or you see what I'm saying is that the 1-drops that you want to be able to play on turn 1 are going to dictate what kind of way you want to build your mana.
Yeah, I'm still not really sure. So we play 3 trophies, 3 drown,
Mm-hmm.
3
Well,
Dead of
that's in the deck
Winter.
for now, but you can change anything you want. I mean, one of the questions I have is in the 60 card control deck, right? How many Fatal Push, Lightning Bolt, Cling to Dust, and Abundant Growth,
I
or
mean, I guess I want some draw spell rather than
Abundant Growth?
removals, I guess.
So Opt or Serum Visions or
I was thinking about Dog Scour, but I'm
Sure.
not really sure. Just because maybe it synergizes with Drown
Oh, it
and
definitely does.
Snapcaster,
Yeah, it definitely
and
does.
also Vren and 6.
Hmm.
Uh, what do you think?
Oh, well, I mean, for me personally, the draw spell that I really liked for this deck was Abundant Growth. But if you're not playing Urian, then it's less valuable.
Yeah,
And
I
then if
mean,
you're playing Thought Scour, it gives you a higher count for blue for Force Negation, so that's good. Plus, it's something cheap to flashback with Snapcaster, as you said. Um, for me, the way that I built this deck, my cantrip was Cling to Dust, um, because this card functions as both removal and a not cantrip, graveyard hate and a cantrip, and
yeah,
it could
but
also be life gain.
the thing with the Cling to Dust is, uh, like it's not super, like I feel it's a cool card, but it's not super well positioned right now in Modern.
And why do you feel that way?
Because like there aren't a lot of decks that use the graveyard.
No,
So
but you
even
don't
even
need
if you
it
draw
to
one,
be graveyard hate because I think it can be life gain. Um,
yeah, but right now in Modern there aren't a lot of decks that like if you game free life versus Blue Red Prowess, you are still not winning that game.
Agreed, especially if you're going down a card for it, right?
And that's the only deck that really requires you to gain life. Also, it's the same versus Shadow. Like maybe like if they have a free Scourge of the Skyclave and you gain free life, it can be good. But what are the odds that your opponent have a creature in the graveyard and just a free Scourge? You know,
Right, right,
it's
yeah.
not super. That's why I don't like Cling to Dust in this moment. Also, I guess like I really like the Cling to Dust, like when Uro was a thing, because Uro and Sanctuary, like because you could actually draw a card, but make value out of your card.
Mm.
While right now, it's just a draw one. Like I used to play that card in Mill, and in Mill you have a lot of targets, but I end up cutting it because it was so less value that I didn't really like it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I totally understand that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, let's put in the thought scours, assuming that they have synergy with Drown the Log, which obviously they do, and then we have always value play with Snapcaster Mage. So this is good. Um, would you want to play any number of Fatal Push or Lightning Bolt?
Well, I guess I'm not sure. I really feel super bad playing this deck on only 60 card because there are a lot of options and I don't know. I'd like to um, play more cards.
So you want to play Urian?
Yeah, kind. I guess.
Well, then let's play Urian. But if you are gonna play Urian, I highly like. I very much think that
Yeah,
I, I,
we will
I
play some abundant growth.
yeah, exactly. Well, so I mean, so my theory about how Urian can be successful, um, is that Urian wants one of two types of decks, and if you're both, it's even better. So it's either decks that make a ton of mana, or decks that can take advantage of the enter the battlefield trigger. Um, so with this deck, as I've said before, I'm currently only 5-5 in the last like 2 weeks. I played different versions a little bit, and I'm 5-5. But Urian has won me a surprising number of games where it's been like 8 mana for a 4/5 flyer that draws me like one card. Um, I don't know if that surprises you. I don't. What's your feeling on that right now?
I mean, I love Urian just because I feel, yeah, sometimes in it midget, when I play it, I guess it's a different deck, but sometimes I get heavily discarded and I only have Urian, then I slam it, attack 3 times and win.
Right.
So it's I really like that as a card, but it's bad to play some like, since we are relying on basic lands a lot. Do you feel it's bad to play some abundant, some sorry, what's the card? The Utopia Sprawls.
Oh, no, we could definitely play Utopia Sprawl. I've thought of playing it before in this deck. The problem I have with Utopia Sprawl is that you set it on one color only, and this deck is all over the place with colors. I mean, I think what you would do in this deck is if you wanted to play Utopia Sprawl, you basically just always put it on blue.
Yeah, it's fine.
Um,
Or
and
you
you
can put
build the
on
deck
red
so
if you have
that like
Bran.
you play more cryptic commands. You have Jace the Mind Sculptor. You play, you have Ice Fang. You have Drown. You have, you just putting it on blue doesn't hurt you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd like to, but I don't know. Like with Urian, in my opinion, it's fine to go a little bit big.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so
So
let's.
yeah, Robert suggested Goose. It's a fine card, but I don't know. I see the value with your Iron, but mm, like, I don't know if I want to play creatures in this deck, like Goose.
Yeah, I mean,
What do you
my
think?
my general thought with Goose is that I like that it doesn't die to Ren and Six. I like that it doesn't die Lavadart. Um,
Yeah, we can play a couple.
well, but when you play against a deck that has fatal pushes, and I don't, I'm just not. I like Utopia. This is like my favorite piece of acceleration in Modern because it's much harder for your opponent to deal with unless you run into red green mid range. But there, hopefully, you have a good matchup anyway.
Yeah, I mean, also, yeah, on turn 2, it's difficult to get rid of Sprawl. They have to have an acceleration. So
Yeah.
also, I like Sprawl in this deck because, as I said, you set up on basics a lot. So Utopia Sprawl, a forest is super cool. Also,
Yeah.
I guess, like with Sprawl, I like a little bit more the interaction between Trophy and Bran. Sorry, between Field of Ruin and Bran, because you have an active Field of Ruin on turn 2, and you
Mm-hmm.
can start recurring with Bran.
Mm-hmm.
About Goose, like, I feel you can play one or two,
Sure.
but I mean, it's a card that needs to be tried, I guess.
Yeah. I mean,
But
I have no problem to try something.
the problem is, I'm not really sure. Like, Utopia's Pro is kind of free, I guess, but I'm not really sure I want some acceleration. I feel maybe we should play a little bit more threats at this point.
Right. Well, so at 80 cards, obviously, we haven't adjusted the threats. So right now we have Tree Folk, we have Jace, we have Ren and Six, and then this is a card that I've liked playing one of this card. Um, it's not great, it's not awful, it's just very right in the middle. Um, do you think this is a card worth playing at all, or should you just cut it?
I mean, I love Royal Science, but not in this deck. I really like index like Shadow, where you can activate um, um, both abilities. In this deck, it seems like draw and discard each turn. That's good with Ren. But I don't know. Personally, I prefer a removal over that, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, So one of the things is that to me, this card in this deck, the +1 is super useful just to draw a discard for the type of removal you need. Um, and it gets to 8 loyalty very quickly. So like you can play it for 3 mana. And now with the Utopia Sprawl, you can play it on turn 2. And then this goes to 8 loyalty after only 3 turns in play.
Yeah, but I'm still not sold on this card, to
No,
be
it's fine.
honest.
It's fine. If you want to cut it from the list that you're making right now, then
Uh, yeah, I guess for sure I want to cut the Golagan's command because that card is awful. It doesn't kill anything.
okay. Well, I'm not gonna
I mean,
fight you. I'm not gonna fight you. I think it's amazing, especially as a one of in a deck like this. But this is your version, your tweak, and I'm not gonna mess with that.
uh, um, yeah, the chat said that if you go up on cards, you go low on snow permanents, and that's true. But I feel you can still turn on Quattle pretty easily. And the Dead of Winter X4, it's still like a good card, X3 or 4.
All right, now what about
Also,
this card? Is this playable?
Dead of Winter,
No, this one.
the Trifog. Uh, well, I don't know. I don't really like it, to be honest.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's
But
not so it's not an
I don't know.
essential.
I never saw that in action. Maybe playing one, it's fine.
Sure.
Like,
Well, I want to keep trying to play one. And maybe you can play this for one league when we finish with it at some point, and just tell me what you think, because to me the 60 card deck that I played the one, and it was really really good sometimes, and then other times sometimes you get rid of it with Jace the Mind Sculptor. Freedmania is recommending Tarmogoyf. I think Tarmogoyf could actually be very good in this kind of deck as like a 2 or 3
yeah,
of.
I thought about Tarmogoyf too, but I don't know if I want to play Tarmo in a control deck. Like, if you want to play a mid-range deck, it's fine. Yeah.
Right, but Spike's playing them in his the Sultai deck he's playing right now, and that is definitely a control deck. The thing about Tarmogoyf that's great is it's very big against burn and prowess to sit on the ground and keep you alive. Even against Heliod, if you can stop them from comboing, sometimes you just die to them attacking you with like 2 or 3 creatures that have 3 power. But a Tarmogoyf can really slow them down. Same with red green mid range. I don't love Tarmogoyf in this kind of deck because it doesn't play into the strategy properly. But in modern, you just need something like Wall of Blossoms, right? Like if I don't want to play Tarmogoyf, we should consider Wall of Blossoms.
Okay. I feel like maybe I'm wrong, or maybe I'm too cute, but I'd like to play at least I like to try the My Little Lady Slumber.
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, that's
Do you,
fine.
just because I feel that card is really good at, like, it's the best card to turn the corner. Of course, like, we have to think a little bit about the numbers,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
also
so I
it
played
provides
this. I
like
played this in the Mordekaiser Snow deck last week, and we never triggered it in the whole 5 matches. We got close sometimes, and then they would like kill my Ice Fang Kodal.
but do you the Scry was good?
The Scry was okay, and especially every time you play a land, basically most of your lands can Scry. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I'd love that mostly for the Scry rather than the turn the corner. But like, at some point, it's like with Fran. I didn't look at the Mordecai list,
Mm.
but with Fran, I feel it's a card. I don't know. Like, I'd like to try that.
Yeah, it's definitely different with this deck because this deck is much more control. That deck was much more sort of mid range. It was playing much more acceleration, much more it was playing the do you know the new card, the blue 1 mana 1/2 that lets you, it's like scrying sheets but on a creature.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we were playing that one. So
Okay,
it
yeah.
yeah, I mean that card was actually surprisingly good. It was that in order to maximize that card, we were playing a bunch of bad cards. Um, anyway, for an 80 card deck, I would want to try two of this, even though it's
Okay,
legendary.
fine,
If you
fine,
draw
fine.
a second one, you can hopefully Jace that away. Also, probably a third Jace. Um, so
Also, we can play. I don't know if it's good, but do you feel Cold Steel Art is a card?
no,
Okay,
I mean
just
we're
asking. I don't know.
if we wanted to play that, I think you wouldn't play Utopia Sprawl, and I think it's crazy.
Okay.
Or are you telling me that you think you want to play 4 Sprawls, 2 Goose, and some number of Cold Steel Heart?
Uh, nah, maybe not.
Right. Like Sprawl is much better, even though it's not a snow permanent, right? And Cold Steel Heart doesn't draw you a card. Honestly, rather than Cold Steel Heart, I'd rather play like Prophetic Prism. Um, it doesn't accelerate you, but it fixes your mana and it draws you a card. You know?
Yeah. I mean, the thing I like it about Cold Steel Art is just because it's a snow card, so
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
better to trigger the stuff.
yeah. Well,
I'm looking
I
at
guess
snow cards, but
it triggers Merit Lage's Slumber, but I mean, I don't think we need to trigger this more than just with lands. Um, so here's the thing that I'm dying right now with. If you look at the deck we have here, right, and then compare it to the version that I played, um, look at my 1 mana here. Um, especially like I have six pieces of removal here, and this was not a problem versus this chunk. So you know,
uh, well, I have a maybe a strong opinion, but I feel Lightning Bolt is not great in this moment.
sure.
I'd play more pushes. Like push, I like it, but the Bolt, it's more the time I bolt face rather than I bolt actually stuff.
Hmm. Well, I mean, I
Like,
like it for killing planeswalkers sometimes, but
yeah, but
it's
which deck plays Planeswalkers?
uh, Bant Snowblade,
That plays what?
Jace.
Which?
It's like two.
Okay,
It's fine.
but
Yeah.
like let's see. I see you play red, so I just uptick Jace.
Sure. No,
The fairy comes to 5, and I go up to 6. Also, the small Teferi. Like, and that's the problem with Volt.
mm. Well, okay. So now this deck is on. You're planning to go to 80 cards. Do you want a fourth trophy?
Well, we can try a couple of abrupt decay.
Sure,
I like trophy, but since we are not gonna end up the game quick, maybe it's fine to play a couple of decays.
sure. What about Fatal Push?
Yeah, you can play maybe free Fatal Push.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. If we assume we're gonna play like 32 lands, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 11 more cards than this, so that puts us on 78. So we have 2 more slots.
Mm.
So the question is how do you feel where this deck is at?
Mm. I don't know. I feel like I want probably another big planeswalker. I want to consider the Ralzarek.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was typing. Ral is at Viceroy. Yeah, this one is worth looking at. Also, um, this one I think is worth looking at. Um, also like a planeswalker, but it's not a planeswalker, but it's like a planeswalker, and it's very good in this deck.
Yeah, okay, this is
Clothis,
fine. It's fine. Yeah,
especially with Utopia Sprawl.
yeah. I guess you can cut the Trifolk at this point.
Yeah. Well, so Clothis is not likely to be animated, but yeah, one cryptic and 80 is ballsy. We could also play an extra cryptic. Find room somewhere for an extra cryptic, so we could go like.
Yeah, I guess you can cut a couple of drawn in the lock.
No, I don't. I wouldn't want to go lower than 3 and 80 cards.
Okay.
That's me. I mean, if you.
I mean, I don't like. It always feels super medium the drown. Just because sometimes it doesn't really counter what you want to counter.
I mean, yeah,
Removal is fine.
it has a very difficult time doing something like countering Primeval Titan on turn 3 or 4, right? Like where if you had the mana leak in the same spot, you'd be fine, but you have a drown in the lock, and so it's useless. But I mean, the versatility of this card is so high. I don't know. I really like it, but maybe you're right.
I mean, I feel this card does. It seems that this card does a lot of things, but it doesn't really.
It
I
does a
feel
lot of
it's
things poorly.
yeah, it's a little bit of a trap, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's definitely been a card that I've had a lot of success with it in a lot of places, but there are definitely matchups where it's not good.
I mean, also since we are not super into the snow theme, I guess you can cut the Mighty Lady Slumber.
Sure.
We basically cut all the payoffs. So
all of them.
yeah. So you can add the. No, I mean the Dead of Winter is fine. No,
Well,
wait.
you said all the payoffs.
No, I sorry, I meant the. I mean the.
No, I'm just.
Might Lay Slumber. Dead of Winter. I guess it's fine. Maybe as a 2-off at this point.
Well, in 80 cards, I want to play 3. I think.
Okay.
Right. So if we add 11 lands to this, now we're on 76. So we have 4 open slots.
Yeah, the mana needs a little bit of tinkering, but we still need the 11 more lands, so don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not worried about the mana.
Now, I was talking to the chat.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying is that to you and to them, I'm not worried about the mana in this deck because I've played these decks before and they're surprisingly okay. You have to think a lot while you're playing your early turns. And I've never done anything with Utopia Sprawl and Gilded Goose. So that's going to make things a little bit different. I think the trick with Utopia Sprawl is going to be that you're going to put this onto the color blue or the color black most of the time. Because if you put this on black, you can play Assassin's Trophy or Abrupt Decay, and it gives you the color you need for Dead of Winter or maybe Ashiok. But most of the time, you probably want to put it onto blue, and then you want to have a blue-black land, because then when you get up to the higher mana costs, you'll be able to play Cryptic or any of these things up here. But then the most important thing you want to play on turn 2 is Wrenn and 6. So it's tricky, for sure. but blue is definitely the thing you need to be looking forward towards. But again, like there's a learning curve with building this deck and playing this deck, as there was when Astrolabe was banned and people had to figure out what to do with Niv Mizzet, and then Omnath came out. And Omnath means that when you're playing Niv Mizzet, on your way to 4 mana, you always want to try to be positioning your colors so that you can cast Omnath on 4 if you happen to draw one, or on 5. You've been playing a bunch of Niv, right? Would you say that's
Yeah,
fairly?
I agree. Like
Yeah,
as I wrote in my guide that will be published soon, I feel Omnath is the best card in the deck by far.
yeah.
And even if I don't have Omnath, I still like arrange my mana. So at some point I can just cast it as soon as I draw it. Because like Omnath it, it's basically free with a fetch land. Also, it provides a super good card advantage. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's very very good in this meta
Mm-hmm.
because it slays control deck, it slays mid range deck, it slays aggro decks.
Yeah.
Very very strong.
So if you were to add 4 more cards to this list, what would you look at as a weakness? Oh, we're missing an Ice Fang, so 3 more cards.
Well, let's try to convert theory into matchups. So we are playing 3 trophies for Field of Ruin and for Vran.
Mm-hmm.
So also for Force. So we should be fine versus Tron and Big Mana, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so.
So also the heavy removal package we play should be enough to cover aggro decks. And versus control, we have Ren, so we should be good setup also versus them. Maybe I'd like to play some more card selection cards, but I'm not really sure which ones.
Mm-hmm. Um, with Urian, the first version of this deck I built, I played Omen of the Sea, 2 copies, and this interacts with Urian, but not with
Yeah,
Snapcaster. But we're only
uh,
playing 2 Snapcaster and 80 cards, so you can use it for other cards, and then you can leave the Omen for the Urian.
yeah, I was I would play 6. Yeah, I also would play 6 Omnath.
6 Omnats
Yeah,
and Niv. Yeah.
yeah, I was also thinking about the Force pitches as the chat suggested.
Yeah.
So how many cards do we have? Like I'm not really a math guy.
Oh,
So
well, we've got. Let's look. Uh, 21, which is that's really good for 60 cards, but not great for 80 cards. It's like okay. It's like this is on the line. I think this is
okay,
fine, but I think if the 2 extra cards we're gonna add right now would be blue, it would also be good. So maybe
okay,
it's like
yeah, I
two
feel
two
like
Thought Scour could be.
yeah, maybe also like we can re-add the free mana planeswalker blue red.
Oh, the Royal Silence.
Yeah, is that the best one? Like the 2 mana Nissa. What do you think?
The sorry, 2 mana Nissa.
Yeah, Nissa, Steward of Elements.
She's 3, yeah. Oh, well, she's 3, yeah. Because you can't play X
Well,
for 0, she'll die.
no, you can't. Sorry. Yeah, okay, 3 mana Nissa.
Yeah, she's not. I don't think this card is very good.
Okay.
I mean, it's maybe it's fine. Um,
I don't know.
um, maybe it's fine. I mean, it would definitely be cool to be the one person in the world who's playing it, but it's
Oh, well, we can play Narset. Narset is great.
sure you can play Narset. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, Narset is actually good in this meta.
You think
But
so?
like it's not super good versus.
Well, Narset is better than this card against aggro decks, right? Because at least you draw a card before it dies.
Yeah, maybe. More or less.
Yeah. Well, now we're overcarded. If without the thought scours, we're closer. Um. Yeah. No.
Okay.
This. I mean, this looks. This is at least interesting. It's quite different. Some of the cards that I would not have thought cutting. You were just like, oh yeah, cut that. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I won't worry too much about the mana, also because like we are playing Abundant Growth, Utopia Sprawl, and Fetchlands, etc. So um we should be fine with the mana, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea is that with this deck, like if you need to play things like Cryptic Command, you can wait and cast a lot of these interactive cards first because you're not necessarily trying to cast Cryptic Command on turn 4. That's not necessary in this deck. You could play the Cryptic on turn 6, hopefully, and be okay because you had other stuff to do. And then you get there later. All right, and with this mana base, I think the prismatic vistas are maybe a little crazy. Would you still want to keep them, or would you want to go to Misty Rainforest, Polluted Delta, Scalding Tarn, Verdant Catacombs, these
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
things?
I guess I prefer the regular fetches.
Yeah, because I think, I mean, you obviously need to figure out what your most important colors are. We can see here it's very much green. And then from that point on, blue is the most dominant color. So Misty Rainforest, and then probably Verdant Catacombs is a really good second one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
yeah,
Also polluted delta.
yeah. But then we need to also figure out, and this is going to be very difficult. Um, which shocklands do we play? And which of these new snow enter the battlefield tap lands do we play?
I want to play just one.
Just
Uh,
the one.
yeah,
Okay.
because
Because
we don't
we also
really.
have the triomes.
Yeah, also yeah, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And the lonely soundbar. I mean, we can cut the lonely soundbar, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Chad has some opinions. Anyway, yeah. So, any more closing thoughts about this deck? Any sideboard thoughts? Okay, so this deck had Weather the Storm in it from forever ago. I cut that in the versions I was playing.
I mean, while we are playing 5 Force of Negations,
Oh, because that wasn't how it was before.
that's why I lose. I always lose 2 versus control because I have
Yeah,
8
5
Force
force
of Negation.
negations.
Okay, so I will play probably Free Dispute. Like the cards I feel with this deck are Teferi Time Reveler.
Sorry, what?
Yeah,
Three dispute.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'd cut the Brutalities and the Dead of Winter from the sideboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also the pushes.
Yeah.
I guess you can play. You can play maybe. You can play. I don't know, maybe explosives since we are on a for. Like I don't know. we play a lot of removals though.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not
maybe
bad to
one
have
explosive is
explosives.
fine.
Like, there's a lot of stuff that it does hit, but I mean,
Also, I probably want the third Ashok
sure.
because this deck, not really sure about the matchup versus Amulet.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
But,
what about Aether Gust?
yeah, you can play a couple.
Yeah, because it's also good against prowess too, though. Like, that's the thing about Gust is like it
And
splits.
rejection, the chat said, okay, that's fine.
Oh, I think you need less Ashioks then.
Yeah, okay, you can cut one. That's two should be fine.
But one of the things about this is like as an 80 card deck, you have to figure out which matchups are the toughest and really board hard for those ones. Because it's hard to find the sideboard cards when you're in the sideboarded games. Yeah, exactly. So Shauna was just saying, what's the math on Urian for sideboards? I feel like you need 3 of an effect to have a chance to draw it. I think that's about true. Like I don't want less than 3, but optimally 4.
I mean, I guess you can cut Abrupt Decay.
Sure. Yeah.
And also the trophy, I guess.
Yeah.
I probably won't play at this point the third Ashok. And I'm considering the best graveyard date because I feel graveyard decks, especially like Dredge, should be a very bad matchups because we don't really have a way to punish them.
Well, there was a reason why in my other version I did this.
I mean, I wish Ashok and Spellbomb was are right, but
I did this in the other version.
so okay, yeah, but would like ley line in Iorion deck?
That's what I did. That's what I did.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's smart. I'm just saying that's what I did. Anyway, yeah. Ashiok, and then maybe you get 3 or 4 spell bombs.
About Veils, I don't know. Because what are the cards we really care about protecting? Like I probably prefer like Thoxys over Veil because it has more application in various matchups. But I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine that because this deck, I mean, you don't need to be like if you're in like a hard or what deck are you going to be playing against that plays Veil? It's going to be Heliod combo or Bant Stoneblade.
Yeah.
And those matchups, I mean, they're going to be tricky, but things like Dead of Winter help against Heliod and Bant. Force of Negation helps a little bit against the Veils. I don't know. I mean, those are going to be playing Thoughtseize into Veil doesn't make any sense. I just don't think we need to play Veil ourselves for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I'm still not sold on the spell bombs. I feel like is Spellbomb the best card against graveyard decks?
No, not at all. I mean, this is old technology.
The Black Trap. I don't remember the name.
Ravenous Trap. Yeah.
Do you feel that card is good?
I don't know. I mean, what kind of graveyard hate do you want to play right now? Do you want graveyard hate that beats Dredge, or do you want graveyard hate that helps you against Dredge and helps you against I don't know, Snapcaster Mage, helps you against
I mean, I
Bedlam
don't really
Reveler?
care about like I side very light usually. So I prefer to have a card that's very good versus the decks we lose, and I feel this deck is an underdog versus graveyard decks.
Right. So then, yeah, Ravenous Trap or Leyline or something like that. The more powerful cards is probably where you want to be. So yeah, I mean, we could play 3 Ravenous Trap or
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, I mean, just having things to think about, just having ideas to poke my brain is more useful than anything else, Pi. So thank you for your time.
Well, I have like time.
So I 5-0'd with this deck. I'm about to go and play it. So if you want to stick around on stream, you can. Or I know it's very late for you, so you know.
I mean, I just like drank a Red Bull, so I'm kinda.
So you're gonna go 5-0 a league again, huh?
I just lost the one I can drop and maybe replay. Oh, one drop.
That's how you guys do it, you young kids.
Yeah.
As
Well,
soon
I'm
as you get a
22,
loss, you
so
just drop the league. Fuck it. All right.
yeah.
For everyone who's on stream, I'll be back in just a moment, and we'll get going with this league of Kiki Valky. Pi, you haven't been streaming so much recently, um, but you are about to release a Niv Mizzet primer, right?
Yep.
And if people want to get that primer, where should they go?
Go on my Twitter. I will post the list in chat. The link in chat.
Okay, perfect. And that'll be on the video in the future because I'm going to put this video on my YouTube so people can rewatch this conversation and all the talking we did, and then find that. And then they can be in touch with you. You are the trophy leader for this season so far, and you're definitely a talented player. You've got good insights, and so I highly recommend that people follow PieGonti's adventures. And then if and when he ever starts streaming again, he writes articles. All of this stuff is just excellent Magic content. So go check him out.
Okay, thank you for the kind words.
Well, I mean, you earned them. You earned them, my friend. So yeah, I'm gonna hop off this call and then get set up to stream. You can hang out and criticize my play if you like. Help me improve, maybe. All right, thanks, buddy.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, the last god just sent me fairies, but go. No, it's still bad.